Well, hello everyone and welcome to Ask Uncle Buck. I'm your host, Uncle Buck. You got big buck questions, I got big buck answers. So this week's question comes from Terry Loeffner, who says, it's actually about 4 questions. We'll take them, we'll take them as we need to. Why do liberals suck? Actually says libtards. Why do libtards suck? Question number 1. And why do they riot supposedly against fascism, even though they are the fastest ones? I think he means fascist ones there, like a little typo. And why do they hate capitalism, even though most of them live with their parents and live off of their money? And why do they hate everyone else's opinion except their own? 3 pretty good questions and 1 silly question. Why do libtards suck? Listen, I don't really like labeling people libtards. Well, at least, you know, that's not very fun anymore. Calling them cucks is pretty fun. I like cuck still. Listen, you wonder why people act the way they act, man. There's a whole lot of stuff about, like, RK selection theory that I suggest you look up. It explains a whole lot about life. And I'm not going to try and go into that today, man. Bill Whittle talks a lot about it. Anonymous conservative, I think, penned the theory. So anyway, we're going to go with the first real question, which is, why do they riot supposedly against fascism, even though they are the fascist ones? Actually, it ties into the last one. We'll tackle the last one first, because I think that one answers why do they riot. So, why do they hate everyone else's opinion except their own? Well, listen, the position of not even the left, because there's people who believe that, like, socialism and more government is a good way to go about things. And you know what? I can debate those people, and I can disagree with them, and they can disagree with me, and we can come to a cordial understanding that, yeah, we have a difference of opinion, but, like, we're both still okay people, and we can get along that way. What you're talking about is the snowflakes, the people who know that their argument, or they just know that they don't have an argument, that their position has no evidence, it has no way to back itself up, and so when it comes to an actual debate, they know they're going to lose. And so what you have to do in this situation is you have to double down and just use rhetorical devices like calling people Nazis, calling people fascists. You have to use false equivalencies. And that is why they try to shut down the debate instead of having one. They can't win that debate. Either through a good argument for their side not existing, or for them not knowing a good argument, if one does exist. And people on the right will do this too. People on the right will do this in a heartbeat. But, like most people on the right, I care enough about, I'm on the right because I care enough about my job and my family, and those things are dependent on, like, a good economy and a good social structure. And so I know even at least at a base level, the arguments, the counter arguments, and the reasons why I have the political beliefs that I have, why I have the social beliefs that I have. So, when you don't have either an argument at all, or you're not well versed enough in your argument, or if you know your argument fails, then you have to shut down the other side and just keep them from making an argument. You use whatever tactic you can. You use shame, you use violence, you use ridicule. You should do whatever you have to do. And that's why they hate everyone's opinion except their own, because they know their opinion's wrong, or at least they know they can't defend their position in a real debate. And there's no way to win the fight that way. Now, what does their opinion mean to them is a good question, because in this situation, socialism is a way for people to take things away, resources, usually money, away from people who have those resources. So the guy who has a crappy job and the guy who has a good job, the guy with the crappy job wants to take the resources away from the guy who has the good job. Now, if in a moral standpoint, if the guy that has a good job at the expense of the guy with the crappy job, like they started out equal and then the one guy took something from the other guy, then you can make a moral argument there. But that's not typically the case. And so when you're trying to have, when everyone starts out equal, and everyone has an equal opportunity, you're going to have differences in outcome. You try to, and that's why on the right we push for equality of opportunity, but we don't push for equality of result. See, when you go and you push for equality of result, everyone has to finish at the same time, at the same rate. Everyone has to make the same wage, and then that holds back the people who can do better, because everyone has to go at the rate of the slowest person. If everyone has to finish a race at the same time, the fast people aren't allowed to finish when they can finish. They have to wait for the slow guy. So economically, what happens is the people who can produce, who would carry most of the economy, don't. They just hold themselves back. But it works out better to a certain degree. Like, it seems to work out better in the mind of the guy who's the slowest. Oh, well, now I can get the same result as the fastest guy. But then again, the whole system starts to collapse because the fastest guy isn't doing his part, isn't doing the part that he could do, because you removed all incentive. You're taking all of his incentive to work, and you're giving it away to the guy who is not incentivized to work, and then you're incentivizing that guy not to work. Like, if you have a rich guy and a poor guy, and you tell the poor guy, I'm gonna because you're poor, I'm going to take money from the rich guy and give it to you. That incentivizes the poor guy to stay poor, for one, so he can keep getting free benefits, and it incentivizes the rich guy not to be rich anymore. Then the whole thing just collapses. So I'm glad I started with that one. So now we're going to go back to why do they riot? Supposedly against fascism. It's because that's one of the only things they can do. When you're losing the argument, you have to cheat. Rioting and name-calling is cheating. Plain and simple. Why do they hate capitalism even though most of them live with their parents and live off their parents' money? Well, I mean, if you think about it, if you have always lived off of your parents, like everyone starts out living off their parents, right? And then most people go on to find something that they're good at, and they learn to put effort in, and they learn that effort gets rewarded in some way, monetarily, or you have a sense of pride or whatever. It's become this thing. As our society has become more and more and more comfortable, after a while you reach this asymptote where it starts to slide back down. And so people who grow up, their parents were able to provide them with everything. And I was this way, and I am this way. Parents worked hard, provided for them. They never had to put in a whole lot of effort. And then when it comes time for them to put in effort, they're like, whoa, what's this effort thing? I don't understand this. No, someone's always just done this for me. I'm terrible at keeping my house clean. Guilty admission here. I'm terrible at doing housework because my mom was such a good housekeeper, and for whatever reason, she never kicked my butt and made me do my share. That came back to bite me in the rear end later in life. Right now in life, I got to do dishes. My poor wife, I just pile everything on her, and she's overloaded. And then, we got kids, and she's trying to look after kids and clean up after me. You think she's got any sort of good position in life? Oh my gosh. It's the same way economically. When people have never had to earn what they have, that's not a good incentive to start. Like, why would I go and work if someone else is just going to give it to me? Capitalism is where you go and you earn it for yourself, and then you reap the benefits of your efforts. And if you don't want to put in any effort, then capitalism is not for you. And that is why socialism looks so appealing to people who don't have anything. I don't have to work to receive these resources now. I can continue to do whatever it is I'm doing or not doing, and someone else will take care of it for me. The problem is the system doesn't actually really work that way. I mean, you're going to receive your little pellet. But what you're doing is by putting people in charge who are going to redistribute wealth, they call that wealth redistribution. In a perfect world, it would work out fine, sure, yeah. But the world's not perfect, and human beings aren't perfect. And so when you're putting someone in charge who is going to enact that system, what you're doing is you're putting someone in charge who's going to become corrupt. Because as soon as you give someone the ability to take someone else's money and distribute it somewhere else, I can tell you all day, yeah, you're poor, dude over here is rich, I'm going to take money from that rich guy and give it to you. I'm going to distribute it to you, or amongst all of you. But what I'm really going to do, because eventually that kind of power is going to corrupt me, even if I start out with great intentions, say, Well, I can take this guy's money, and as long as I'm giving them something, they're going to think I'm doing it. I mean, no one's going to do the math. If the guy's got $100 and I give you your $2 and tell you, well, there's a bunch of other people that are also getting $2, but what if I'm just keeping the $98 for me? Like, I'm giving you your $2 because you put me in power, but money's going in my wallet. I've made myself rich. That's corruption. And that's what happens. So, that is why libtards suck, I guess. So I hope I answered all of your questions adequately. Normally I leave the politics stuff to Joel Chaco. He's so much better at articulating a political thought than I am. But these are the things that I think about this topic. And thank you so much, Terry, for giving me this question. I hope you had a good time listening. So thank you, everyone. This has been Ask Uncle Buck. I've been your host, Uncle Buck, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.